Hello and welcome to the Transformational Speakers Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Lohman-Jack, and today we have Katherine Dean. She's known as the Financial Empowerment Woman because of her experience in the financial industry. She has helped hundreds of business owners, entrepreneurs, individuals, couples, and women create their path to wealth. Her approach to wealth is not just about money. It's about money mindset, family legacy, and what matters most to her clients. She's the founder of Living Your Worth, Inc., and popular programs like Healthy Women Within and Wealth to Freedom Formula Program. She has her MBA and a certified financial planner. She constantly challenges the status quo with women and money, financial independence, and the pay gap. She has spent 20 years guiding people with their financial goals on the path to financial independence and freedom. Katherine volunteers her time with young girls on their own independence and power for an incredible future as a Girl Scout leader and serving on the board of Girls, Inc., Long Island. Katherine believes anyone can achieve financial freedom by following your own journey, discovering your vision to be empowered in your career, financial life, gain the financial confidence and independence you've always dreamt about. Katherine lives in New York, in the happiest town in America, along with her wife, 2 daughters, and 2 dogs, Baxter and Roscoe. Thank you so much for being here, Katherine.
Thank you for having me.
It's so exciting. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Yeah. We met a year ago at a conference and didn't get to spend a ton of time together, but I love anytime someone says they're working on people's money and their mindsets. I am all ears because I'm always about what's getting in my way. What's my new block? What's been coming up lately? You know, I'm always wanting to dig in there. So I'm excited to talk to you today. So thanks for being here.
Awesome. Of course. I'm happy. I'm really excited to be here with you. So bring the coasts together. So
yes, I love it. So give us a little bit more about your journey to what you're doing today.
Well, I'll make it really short. About 8.5 years ago, I was what I thought happily married, a 1 and a 3-year-old daughter at home, happiest town in America, white picket fence, golden retriever, who is almost 14. He's still with us now. And I went out for date night, just like any couple needs to get away from their young children, go out for date night. And as we're just about to have dinner, I hear we need a break. And my entire life at that point really fell apart. Financially, emotionally distressed. My left eye was blinking, twitching for 6 months because I was in the industry and I knew the tools and resources and I didn't even have my act together. And my ex quickly packed up her stuff. She moved out. And here I was with a mortgage that we had 2 incomes coming in. I had, just to make ends meet, to put food on the table. I wasn't making the income I needed, and very, very quickly had to rush into, okay, in the next 3 months, how am I going to start getting passive income, increase my income and all of that? How am I going to survive, put food on the table and take care of my girls? And that's exactly what I did. And although my roadmap is probably a little more windy than the ones I work with my clients with, my roadmap was passive income, get money working for you. Like I knew that I needed to not have to work so hard all the time for money. And that's how I started to shift. But fast forward about 5 years, so it's about 3 years ago, I started a company because I would share this story when I would talk to people that went through a divorce, and they said, wait, why aren't you working with women that are going through this, have gone through this, or just don't have the financial education to be able to start building wealth for themselves? And I said, well, I'm in wealth management. And somebody once said to me, well, that's great, but wealth management are for the people that figured it out by now. You need to help the people that haven't figured it out. And that's really where it started. And then it became this business that I am so aligned and in tune with, and I shed tears with clients and allow clients to be safe in a very unsafe conversation. Because we all know that the money conversation can be really intimidating and really scary. And I've been there, I've done that. I've been boatloads of debt and gotten myself out, up to the point that now I collect passive income from investment properties. So, but that wasn't always my case. And that's what I share with women mainly, to start to have that freedom and start to even see the opportunity for themselves in building wealth for themselves.
Yeah. So, and you're right. It's like getting naked. You got to get naked. It's going to the girls' Korean spa together and getting naked. Like, let me show you all my faults, because that's really what it feels like. It's like, and the thing that we do is we judge ourselves like they're all our faults, but really it's just the programming and the things that we've, the tools and the resources that we've had, that we've seen around us and gained that, experience with. One of the things that both my husband and I struggle with is, when you got it, blow it, because you don't know when you're going to get it again, because both of us didn't have a lot of money growing up, and we both had to work starting at 14 to be able to pay for our own stuff. And so we just realized that that's one of the things that happens when the money comes in. We're trying to like pay things and get things done, because you never know when it's coming in again. And so I think that is really, truly like, okay, see, this is my fault. I'm sharing it openly right now, but here is my fault, right? And so until you can even address what's happening, where's this money going? What am I investing in? What am I paying?
Right. And I think we all get into the hustle and bustle of, let's make money, let's pay our bills. Let's make money, let's pay our bills, or we start to build up credit card debt, and then we don't even think we have an opportunity to do anything else. There's no possibility of getting out of debt, or there's no possibility of actually having a security fund for ourselves and some savings set aside, or the vacation we want to take. And what I'm here to tell you is, no matter what income you have, there is a possibility. There are ways to tweak and do things a little differently, because I've been educating myself for 20 years on this, right? Whereas our education system doesn't teach us any of this. They teach us to spend money. They teach us to get into credit card debt, get 0% financing on things, and then you forget that it has to be paid off by a certain amount. Our entire system, it sets us up for disaster. So the best thing to do is just to start small. I'm just saying, one thing, put $20 away a month just to get comfortable with the fact that you can start to put some money away. So that's really where I start is, what is the top of mind financial thought process? Like, what's the thing that keeps you up at night? And that's where I start working with clients, and I do some online programs and stuff and some intensives in person. But when I really dive into it, it's that vulnerability. It's waving the flag saying, SOS, please, somebody help me, because I know that I don't want to be here in 5 years. Like, I actually want to have goals in 5 years. And no, I appreciate the whole naked thing. Like, it was like, I don't want to be naked in front of other people either. But the vulnerability and sharing is what makes people realize that they're not alone. We all have debt. We all have some type of money conversation that runs in our head all the time, that runs our lives. And let's change that. Let's shift that, and I call that your financial archetype.
I love that, because it's so true. And I think we just blindly bumble around. This isn't taught in school. We were talking about, teaching my child to be an entrepreneur. It's really, truly, until you have to do these things, you don't know. You don't know what expenses are. You don't know what, retail versus wholesale, and you don't know these things. And so then you're expected to go out and manage all this money and deal with things. All you knew was your parents made money and paid bills. Yep. So if you don't have conversations at an early age, we don't know what we're doing. And no one really goes through like how to build credit. What is credit? You don't have it.
Right. Like, but what's a good credit?
You need it.
Good credit, bad credit.
Yes.
Is it like a mortgage, not a mortgage, an interest rate? Like, there's so many aspects that go into that. And I really try to break it down and make it simple, like really simple, because we all should have these tools in our toolbox. We all should be using them every day.
What would you say is the biggest money mindset shift most women need to make?
That they're worth it. The company I own is called Living Your Worth Inc. because women need to step into their greatness. Some women step a little bit into it, but they will hold back on, trying to get a promotion at work because they want to know all the details. Whereas a man will apply for a position if they know 40%. I mean, right there, the inequality, and this isn't a man versus woman thing. I'm just saying that we tend to be very meek when it comes to money, or even negotiating for success, or owning our own businesses and not charging the fees we should be charging. We really we keep ourselves small. And when you step into your own power and your own worth, a lot more opens up for you. It's amazing when you start to see women go, wait a second, I could do this or that. And what's interesting is, even though I focus sometimes on negotiating for success, many of my clients start to make more income after they start working with me, because they either increase their prices, they go in for the promotion, they ask for the raise that they deserve for their expertise. It's just so amazing when you put some intention there and some, energy there, it opens so many more doors for you.
Yeah, I think that whole, I was just saying earlier that it's all about women running around going, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, I'm pretty enough, I'm skinny enough, I'm whatever enough, right?
Yeah.
And if we would just stop comparing,
Mm.
if we would stop listening to that voice and just go for it. I was never one of those women that didn't apply. I had applied a job over my head. Why not? What's the worst thing you can say? No. And half the time, I don't even know what. I walked into a job interview. It was like a sales. I'm trying to remember. This was like high-tech sales. I don't know crap about tech. And I still went in there and I interviewed and they loved me. And they kept like bringing more people in to get more of a vibe of me. And they really wanted me, but I didn't have the experience that they wanted. And they were just like, but we love you and you could totally do this. And I'm like, it was funny because I did it just to see, because I also wanted to see. It was higher than I would have ever went for, and at the time I think it was like a $200,000 a year job. Would have been totally amazing. But it was a very interesting conversation when they're like, wow, you really are good at selling yourself, and you really don't have the experience that we need, but you know what? Good on you, so it's hard for me sometimes because I'm not the person to, think, differently about myself. And I always go for everything. I'm like, I'll go all in and then I'll figure out what we can negotiate back. Yeah. But, I think it's funny though that most women are usually looking at the standards. Like you said, if there's like the job qualifications, we're like, oh, well, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. I'm out. And guys are like, so what? I can learn that stuff on the fly. I don't care. I'll find someone that knows that, and they just do it. I think they believe in themselves to figure it out. I believe enough in myself to just figure it out.
Yeah. And which is so true. And I applaud you because there were years that I held myself back. Like I can tell you jobs I didn't go for. I can tell you income producing things I didn't do, all of these different things because I was hiding. In, oh my goodness, I'm not skinny enough. I can't wear those heels that the other women wear. I can't do this, or like all the can'ts. Mm-hmm. And then you rip the Band-Aid off and it's almost like an unveiling, right? You unveil yourself and it just opens up. It's really crazy how when you show up and you just show up for who you naturally are and who you really are, opportunities arise. Just like you said, you walked in there, they knew they probably should have hired you even though you didn't have the experience because you could have learned the equipment.
Right.
You could have taught yourself the equipment.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, it really comes down to the person and the dynamic person that you are versus trying to always compare and be everybody else. There's one you in the world for a reason. You're not supposed to be everybody else. Yeah. And people see that. People see also the inauthenticity of when you show up as somebody else. Mm-hmm. So you were naturally yourself. You walked right in and you were like, I'm authentic. I'm who I am. And you guys really should hire me for me. And I love that.
Yeah, I am that unicorn. I'm always like, duh, do you not know me yet? Hello. But
I love it.
But it didn't come easy. Like I wasn't born this way. I struggled through I'm not enough for the longest time. And when you finally stop listening to that voice and you put that little girl to bed and you actually become the CEO of your company and the woman that you want your children to grow up and either marry or emanate, you start realizing, ooh, is this how I would want to operate this? Is this how I want to handle it? Right. Yeah. And so I always love that women always tell me, I have a hard time with sales and asking for money. So we know as an entrepreneur, you have to ask for money. I mean, it's a part of the exchange. It's a part of the game. I'm giving you something. You're giving me something in return. So what would you say for the people who really struggle with the ask, of getting themselves paid what they're worth?
Well, first thing is to really be aligned with pricing. Let's start there. There are many, you could look at Facebook ads and I made millions and millions of dollars doing X, Y, and Z. I guarantee they didn't do it in one day. Let's start there. And another thing is you really have to believe in what you're offering and believe that the pricing you're offering is going to make a difference in somebody. Because what's going to happen is if you underprice yourself, you're not going to get the clients that are going to make the change that they want to make. if you overprice yourself, you might overprice yourself out of what you actually show up as, right? Because now you're going to be intimidated. Oh my God, can I really charge this amount? I'm not sure. So you just start with small increments as increasing. So let's say you have an online program for $497. I'm just giving it for instance.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, you're giving $2,000 worth of material, and that in, let's say, 5 months from now, that $2,000 is going to be nothing because of the transformation they're going to have. Well, then think about what that would be worth to you. Like, what would you pay for that? Because usually you start to align. We were talking about coaches before, and I work with a coach, you work with a coach, and they're not inexpensive, but I believe in myself enough that I'm going to make the money to make up for the coaching fee plus more. Right. Yeah. So a lot of it comes back to belief in yourself. And it also comes back to aligning yourself with your pricing. If you're not aligned, it's like the energy is it's not going to click together. You're kind of like wonky around it. So really, and you can write it down. You can speak it out loud. That's another thing I started doing way in the beginning of my businesses. I would speak into the mirror, and not to mention I cry all the time in front of the mirror because that little girl that kept saying not enough, it was like, oh my God, I have to actually face my not enoughness anymore. Like, I have to sit here and I have to face it and face it. And the transformation for me happens when I work with clients also, and I see how they're facing their fears and they're stepping up to the plate and they're owning who they are and they're owning their worth. And miracles happen when that happens, because we're from our society, unfortunately, at least when I was young, I'm in my early 40s now, I was, be quiet. I mean, this is also my parents, right? Be quiet. Don't show up and be that crazy girl. Like, there was a lot of don'ts, which tend to resonate in your head over time. And we're a product of our environment. And I'm not saying my parents did anything wrong. That was just what they knew. You're in public and you're kind of, out there and you're dancing and you're having a good time. And society tells you we all have to fit in and conform. Well, the people that don't fit in and they don't conform are the most successful people in the world. Look at Richard Branson. Right. That's, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot somebody into space. I'm going to start an airline because I don't like airlines. He had no airline experience. You look at, Elon Musk, he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to shoot somebody up and then I'm going to have these weird things and they're going to come down and they're going to land perfectly and nobody's going to blow up. And people are like, yeah, right. Now he's got this thing in space playing music. It's like, it's just being you, be authentically you and just showing up, not allowing society to dim your light.
Yeah. And I think, like, you're right. If you don't believe in your pricing, it's a hard sell. If I never forget the beginning, I think I was charging like $700 a month. I don't even remember. Yeah. And I got comfortable there. And then when I hired a coach that cost more, I was like, well, I should be paid more. So I increased my prices just based on that. And what I watched was the first time I had to say, $1,200 a month, right? Instead of $700. I was like, yeah, this is amazing. This has been a great conversation, a great call. You learned so much. My pricing is $1,200.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you have this big, bold, confident energy. And then all of a sudden when it came to the ask, you just shrunk down and got really small. Mm-hmm. When that happens, people feel that and they're like, ooh, what just happened?
Yeah.
I don't know, but my radar's going off. I'm going to say no because my radar's going off.
Yeah.
You know, and so getting an alignment and believing in your value, but also believing that you can get that person results.
Yeah. You can deliver it.
Yeah. And I always say this, sometimes it's not about a sale. It's about standing for someone else's greatness. I know, Catherine, I can help you.
Yeah.
If I knew I can help you, I would be selfish to keep it to myself. So I'm going to offer it to you. I see where you can go and how we can do this and how with my help, you double your whatever, double your clients, double your speaking engagements, whatever it is. But if you know that you can do that for someone, A, it's selfish to hold it back. Like it's like the cure to cancer. You want to share it.
Yeah.
And then B, it's just to say, I take a stand for you. I see who you're going to serve and I want to serve you in a big way. So you can do that in a bigger way as well.
Yeah. And have that change in the world, right? That effect on the world, and you're the catalyst for that. So, but I am so glad you brought that up about not owning your worth, but then also not knowing what to charge. And just being comfortable, and say it out loud a few times, and see, does that resonate? Does $97 a month, having 100 different private clients, to me, I'd be like, oh my, I don't have enough. I wouldn't be able to serve anybody.
No.
My energy would be worn out. I'd be exhausted, and the people would not be getting out of me what I need to do. But then for me, if I said, $10,000 a month, I'd be like, still, I think that's too much. I want to be able to work with people and to serve people. So it's finding that happy medium for sure.
Yeah. And I think, if you're not clear on your own money stories, then you're going to be enrolled in other people's money stories. So when the conversation comes up, oh, $1,500, that's too much money. If that's your own story about $1,500 being too much money, it's going to be really easy to go, yeah, they're probably right. Okay. All right. Thanks for having this call with me. Have a great day, and walk away from it. And it's like, are you kidding me? That they just give you the open opportunity to coach them through it.
Mm-hmm. And then, and you've left them high and dry without having the guidance they need as well.
Yeah. And so either you're enrolling them in your program, or they're enrolling you in their stories and excuses.
Yeah. And I'm a big person on, I love storytelling from stage. I do that, and I share my story and everything. And sometimes I get tears in my eyes, but I don't like people getting wrapped up in their money story. Right. Because that's one of the biggest things I work on is, well, I grew up and I don't think I have the opportunity, or I'm not sure I should go and ask for the raise or the promotion or increase my pricing or whatever it is, or I'll never own a house, or any, the nevers and the can'ts and the won'ts and all of that. And I say, okay, so we're going to start a new language. We're going to start a whole different language. Get your notepad out. We're starting today. And I want you to repeat it to yourself over and over and over and over again until you start to shift that mindset. That I cans and I will, and I'm able to, and that family vacation I want to take, and all of that, and it does wonders. It does wonders in your life. The opportunities open up you don't even realize are even available to you.
Yeah. So what would you say in investing in your own self and in your own business? What would you say is a key for people to focus on when building a business? So if these are entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, speakers, consultants, if they're wanting to invest, what's the best place for them to invest in, inside their business? Is it themselves? Is it what? Help me out so people know, because I think a lot of times most entrepreneurs are making money to pay the bills. That's about it. Yeah. So where can we start really thinking about putting some money away for something within our business? What's important?
Awesome. Well, first of all, strategy. If you're starting today, where do you want to be a year from now? Just think about that. Where do you want to be a year? Is it you want to get your first 6 figures under your belt? Do you want to first 50,000, multiple 6 figures? Just really have an idea, because we so often deal with money without an end result. We're like, oh, we just need to make the bills. So have an idea of where you want to be a year, 3 years, 5 years down the line. And things will shift and things will change just like life does. It'll completely shift for you. And opportunities will shift as well. So really understanding that. Second thing is look and see what in your industry what people are doing. I'm not saying copy them. I'm saying the people that are doing what you want to be doing, see what they're doing. Are they doing opt-in pages? Are they doing Facebook ads? Are they speaking? Are they traveling? Do they use a mentor or coach? Because I find it really important that you have an accountability person that will hold you accountable and give you the tools and resources that you need. Also, while you start to make income, you first want to celebrate the fact that some money comes in. So let's celebrate, because you will work your butt off as an entrepreneur, business owner, speaker, whatever you are, coach. You'll work your butt off, and I need you to celebrate and know that, okay, so you bring in, let's say $5,000, and it's your first month and you hit 5,000. I want you to celebrate that, because if you don't celebrate your success, you're going to chase the damn carrot perpetually and never think it's enough. And I see this, believe me, I do. In the whole wealth management industry, there are uber millionaires that are still miserable people, because 10 million wasn't enough. Now they're looking for 15. But when they get to 15, guess what? It's never enough. And they're still miserable. So really get attached to your why of what you're doing, and celebrate whatever that initial win is for you. Put some money aside always have a little bit of a slush fund, because it might be a training that comes up that's $997 that you want to do, and you want to be able to do that. You don't want to hold your business back because you're not willing to invest, because to me, that's investing in your business and yourself at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really valuable and important. And always, 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 because I come across people with this all the time, know that you have to pay taxes. I come across a lot of people that will have a lot of wins, and at the end of the year, when they go to file their tax returns, go, oh my God, I didn't realize how much I have to pay. And use a CPA if you have your own business. Pay a little extra so that you can make sure you get the right deductions. You can make sure that you're doing the right thing, you're paying the right tax, and you have a professional that's looking out for you, because TurboTax for an entrepreneur is not usually the way to be going. So I'm not downplaying TurboTax. It works for a lot of people that have a straight W-2, but not people that have write-offs or they want to open an LLC or an S Corp or anything like that. So I think I gave you a ton of stuff right there, but that's a good start.
No, I think it's important, because also when all of those things, I think a lot of times people ask me, oh my gosh, I see you going to all these conferences, all these events, all this stuff. You're taking time away from your business to do all these things. Why are you spending so much money doing that? Don't you already know these things? Haven't you already attended that event? There's so many things that people have said to me, and I was like, yeah, but you got to still remember, the reason I go to World's Greatest Speaking Training every single year is everyone in the room is my potential client.
Exactly.
And partner and, interviews, or, it's like, yeah, as I go and do these things, it is an investment of my time. And yes, do I get better and better? Of course. And yes, the partnerships and the people I get to meet, my network's been built on a lot of these conferences. But then to think, it's one of the biggest write-offs I have at the end of the year. Right? All of my
and you learn a crap ton of stuff, you know?
Yes. And I implemented, like I was telling you before, I always go to conferences and spend the next day staying wherever I'm at and implementing the stuff, because the minute I get home, my mom, wife, got to get my clients, got to get everything set up again. Yeah. It's like, nope, I would rather be able to have a day where I get to implement everything I just learned.
That is, I have to say, you're the first one that's ever laid it out that way. What an intelligent way to go to a conference. Because we come home, we always have stacks of books and stuff, and I have all my top 3 things I want to do. I'm on an airplane, I'm too tired, I fall asleep, I don't get it done, because I'm on the East Coast, by the way, and there aren't a ton of people out here. Most people are on the West Coast that do a lot of this stuff, or Arizona seems to be a big place too.
It's warm. Everyone wants to go where it's warm.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So, but that's one of my biggest things is I feel like I get into a rat race where it doesn't actually necessarily, and I love that tip, and I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to Facebook message you when I do the next one.
I can't wait. I have launched courses in that day. I have sold courses in that day. I have done so many things. I mean, it's pretty awesome when you actually just give yourself an extra couple hours to actually work on your business before you rush home. And then you got all the follow-ups and you got all the stuff. And if you meet potential clients, you can say, well, I'm staying for the rest of the day. It's usually the last day is a half day. So I'll be here tonight and I'll be here tomorrow. If you want to set up a session with me, let's just do it. Let's go meet in the lobby at, 10 o'clock tonight or whatever. Awesome.
I love it. And I've met a ton of clients by going to events. And promotional partners and partners. And, it's, and the other thing, it's really good to be around people that are doing what you're doing. Just to also get ideas, not just from the conference itself, but what are other people doing that are successful? Mm-hmm. You as a business owner, don't think of everything, and we can see what's going on the front lines, but we actually can't see the process in the back. And most people at conferences are willing to share and willing to talk about how their business has become so successful. So that's another great resource too.
Well, one of my closest friends I met at a Brendan Burchard event. This is the reason I have a podcast. She does Podcast on Purpose. It's Devi Adea, and she is like my soul sister. And we met there, and she's like, you have to understand, right now, podcasting is the highest conversions for so many people in their marketing and their business. So you need to have your podcast. And I sat on it for like a year and a half. And she's like, I'm coming to Seattle. We're sitting down and doing a VIP where we're getting it all done and getting it launched. And since then, I haven't stopped. And it's been so amazing. and I'm at like almost 600 downloads, and I feel like this is awesome. Like I have, all these other ways of touching people, and
So
it's
great.
gonna go from here, right? But if I wouldn't have heard her saying it, then seeing Pat Flynn on stage saying he and Chalene Johnson sell more tickets to their events on their own podcast, I wouldn't have thought that this would be what I'd want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that, because it's stewing in me to do a podcast. And I keep saying by the end of the year, I'm going to have my plan to do my podcast. There's some stuff going on I legally can't talk about in October, into November. So I have a ton of stuff. So I'm said, okay, after that's out of the way, I can move forward. So I'm excited. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I love it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Good things on the horizon. So don't worry. I'm going to ask you to be on.
Yay! That's the other thing. That's the other thing that's come from this, right? Is as I'm interviewing people want to interview me. Sometimes I go back to back and we just flip the script and the other person goes. And so just thinking about, it's a good avenue for you to connect with other, thought leaders and people in your industry and people you want to support. It's good for promotional partners, and it's good marketing both sides. You're going to be on theirs, they're going to be on yours. It opens up the demographics.
Without a doubt. There's so many people in the world. We need to be able to affect change on so many, more than just our own little mailing list. Because if you think about 8 billion people, my mailing list is minuscule compared to 8 billion people.
Yeah, 5,000 doesn't do much on that one.
Exactly.
Other people are like, wow, you have a 5,000 person man. I'm like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, because I'm like, oh, but there's like 8 billion people. They more.
Oh my God, we're so similar. It's scary.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Like when you were talking about celebrating your wins, I am not good at celebrating my wins. I'm good at like, oh, my girlfriends and I do Marco Polo. I'm like, hey, oh my gosh, I got accepted and invited to the UN, all this amazing stuff. It's awesome. But then I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's my next goal? Here's, my business strategy plan is right here. Like what else is on there that I'm not doing? And we can get in that rat race of chasing, the dollars. I'll be honest. I think that's another thing that I realize I do. I'm great at manifesting. I'm great at bringing in new people, but I need to not be doing that as much as I do, and outsource some of that stuff.
Without a doubt. And getting money working for you. Because that's a big thing for me, is like, okay, so everything's copacetic, like everything's going well now. How do we start to get money working for you, so you're not working so darn hard for your money? That's, oh my God, without a doubt. Yeah. And some of that money put away. Either you can do stocks that have dividends, you can do stocks that appreciate, you can possibly own another piece of real estate. There's so many different ways. It's just just making the decision to do it. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's another thought, another seed I want to plant for you too.
Yes. Yes. Is to plant it, to be thinking about how money can work for you.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I always say, I always borrow the confidence from my future self. So when those moments of like struggle and craziness, fear comes up, I really borrow the confidence from the woman who owns a $40 million company. She's a New York Times bestseller. She's all these things, to walk through some of those scary pieces. So, but when I also do is I'll have her like sit down and we go to counsel together. Like, okay, so here's what I'm working on. What do you think? So if your future self was to travel to you today, what would she tell you?
She'd tell me to stay in my power, because I often get derailed when it's a bad day, or I'm just not feeling it. Just like you just said, you're just not feeling it. Stay in your power, stay on your mission to affect and transform 1 million women with financial empowerment and financial security and independence. So that was the mission of why I wrote it down as soon as I started the company, 1 million women. And I've affected change on over 700 that I can tell you I have, my list, but that's not near 1 million. So I have to stay on that conversation. Right. And really to continue to step into my worth, to share, to be on stages all around the country. Right now I'm a national speaker. I want to be an international speaker, and I see my future self international speaker doing, 5-day events, being invited for 5-day events, and really just owning that power. I think I always come back to that word power, because I tend to dim my own light just like my clients, right? I tend to attract the clients of who, like where I've been and where I'm going. And that's usually the clients that I attract. So yeah, definitely just shine that bright continuously, like that bright light, just ongoing all the time.
I love it.
That way. Yeah.
All right. So how can people get to know more about you and where they can find you?
Cool. Well, if you want my Wealth to Freedom roadmap, that's really simple. You just go to wealth2freedomroadmap.com and you can get the roadmap. It's 7 simple steps and really how to start building wealth in your life. It's real straightforward. It's not manifesting. It's none of that. It's like, these are the building blocks to do it. So that's one way. You can check me out on Facebook, /Wealth to Freedom. That's my public page. My clients have a separate page, but that's my public page where I share videos and content and all of that. Or you can just look me up at katherinedean.co and see my programs and see if you're interested in doing any of them. I have one coming up in September and then another one coming up in October. So if you're interested and you want to be part of that, just Facebook message me. I'm real open. I'm real honest. I'm real straightforward. I'm a New Yorker. So I'll let you know. Kind at the same time. I try to be as kind as I can at the same time.
Yes. Well, I have definitely, I'm always kind of, the girl that just speaks the truth. No sugarcoating. I'm kind of like, okay, you always know that your intention from me is that I love you and see you in the highest and best of yourself. And if you're not up to that right now, I'm probably going to say something because I can see it. But it always comes from because I love you enough to tell you the truth. And that's just
amen, man. And I'm not even very religious, but I agree with that.
Yeah. So I will put all of that stuff in the show notes. Is there any one last tip that you want to give as we send our audience out for the day?
Yes. I want you to get off this podcast, listening to this, take 5 minutes to yourself, write down an affirmation statement for yourself where you see yourself in 5 years and read it twice a day to yourself in the mirror. And see what shows up and what transforms in your life. Because by listening to this, you know that we care about you and we want the best for all of you. So
and I am going to make my own and I will do that as well. Yay.
Awesome. Good. Cool.
I will put that out there on Facebook as soon as I write it.
Awesome. Terrific.
So, thank you so much for joining us today. Tune in next week and we will see you on stage.